Welcome to Something Shock 6. Well, not really. Prey is obviously inspired heavily by System Shock, and seems to have made the ideas of Bioshock as well. Most of the story is either through breaking through into people's computers or through audio logs. They're called transcribes this time. Little PDAs that play back one message and one message only. Certainly is more common with the Shock games than it does with the original Prey, which is a creative but poorly executed shooter. The premise of this game is standard, if well executed, cosmic horror, with a substantial dose of things man was not meant to know. In short, quite Lovecraftian, with a good amount of government corporate conspiracy. The year is 2035. You are on a space station that has been taken over by an alien race of shadow monsters called the Typhon. The game starts out very heavily survival horror. You go for a while using only a wrench and a glue gun. The primary enemy in the first stage of the game are mimics. Spider creatures that pretend to be ordinary objects, or even useful items like food or ammunition, but attack you when you get close. Then you encounter a few phantoms, human-shaped monsters that attack you with a psychic grenade launcher. Then the game gets its Resident Evil twist with the psychoscope. In this, it goes from survival horror to alien stomping action. You begin to see stronger phantoms, such as the fire and lightning versions. You have the telepath, which mind controls people as living bombs. The technopath, which controls nearby robots into attacking you. And the weaver, which in story creates the phantoms, but in combat creates tiny little banelings, cystoids, that roll into you like tiny bombs. On occasion, you will spacewalk and fight all of these in zero gravity. This is a resource management game. Anything that can be put in your inventory can be put into a recycler and turned into materials. Guns, food, ammo, and random trash. These materials can then be 3D printed into stuff using a fabricator. As for the story, you are Morgan Yu, a man/woman with a conveniently gender-neutral name. You start your first day at Nepotism R Us, TranStar, the huge technology conglomerate that your parents founded and your brother's president. You go to work, are put through a test, and see a mimic murderer guy. You're knocked out with gas, then wake up to find the day repeating. It's quickly revealed the whole thing was a setup. You're actually in space, 3 years later, and already vice president, quite fast promotions, wink wink nudge nudge. And TranStar is developing neuromods that enable you to gain skills, such as playing the piano like a great composer, becoming a doctoral engineer, or lift heavy objects. One of these things is not like the other. The only disadvantage is that if you remove one, it resets your memory to right before you installed it, justifying the amnesia at the start of the game. The Typhon break containment, and the mimics start eating people and multiplying. Your goal, as presented early in the game, is to blow the place off to start the Typhon. In the meantime, save the survivors, defeat the Typhon, and figure out what's going on. Now, spoilers. The central plot revolves around the neuromods and the Typhon. The Typhon are aliens that feed on sentient consciousness. However, their exotic material is necessary in order to make neuromods. They do this by feeding the alien Soviet prisoners. Well, they call them Russian, but it's very clear that the Iron Curtain never fell. These volunteers are conscripted from Siberian labor camps and turned into juice you stick on your brain to learn stuff. Yay! You get the glue gun, a pistol, a shotgun, a stun gun, and a BFG 9000. QB. You get a few grenades. You get alien powers from scanning various Typhon types. While these are interesting, only a few are actually worthwhile. Several of them are just variations on blast stuff. You have mind control spell for both enemies and robots. Most interesting is Mimic Object, where it lets you turn to objects and move around, just like the mimics. The final twist of the ending, where you either blow up the station or activate an experimental psionic emitter, null wave, is that this was all a simulation. You are a phantom! The real Morgan had a very similar adventure, but somehow failed. He was shown a brief shot of San Francisco overrun by the Typhon, and then the characters judge your actions. If you're good, they offer you a chance to become an ambassador between the species. Where this game shines is its branching pathways. There are no kill or save this helpless thing prompts. Most of the big choices you have are that you help people or you don't. You install the alien neuromods or don't. These things are pretty clear. Other things aren't quite so much. On a smaller scale, a lot of the puzzles involve using abilities given places. Can you hack it into the lock? To use the mimic power, turn into a coffee mug and slide through a hole in the window? Can you shoot a Nerf crossbow through said hole to press the button on the inside? You almost always have multiple choices. If you need to get up a floor, do you repair the elevator, or make a staircase using your glue gun? Another notable thing is this game's deliberate diversity. Through the game, it's revealed the Yu family is American, with Daddy Wu coming from China, Mama Yu coming from Germany. Morgan dates a Russian woman and is aided by an African doctor. Furthermore, since absolutely nothing has changed between the male and female playthroughs, Girl Morgan is a lesbian. That being said, there's a bit of Mass Effect discrimination, as there are 2 lesbian couples, but no male homosexuals. However, it's notable how casual they are about this entire thing. Not, look how diverse we are, buy our stuff. It's just the story they wanted to share. Another thing, this game rewards exploration. If you don't go out of your way to explore the bridge, a place you don't have to go until the very last scene of the game, you won't be able to get the captain's pistol, which is the only weapon upgrade in the game. On the other hand, it can reward exploration too much. In my first playthrough on normal difficulty, I ended the game with over 100 of each material type, and more ammo than enemies to shoot. Since enemies don't respawn, it took all the fun out of the resource management. Now, on the negative side, there's a reason I've been calling everything that's wrong named the whole video. The setting is almost stale. For all the First Prey's fault, I've never seen aliens invade the Cherokee afterlife before. Now, it's told in an interesting way, and the characters are generally well written, and the alternate universe is quite neat. The game's plot would have been set right at home in a Bradbury or Asimov collection, or any Cold War science fiction for that matter. But it's a short story, not a novel. And you spend the game holding your breath for a twist that doesn't really come. They get into a bit of philosophy, it doesn't really go anywhere until the big reveal right at the end. If I was to point out a single problem, it'd be that Transtar makes too good a villain. You don't have an Andrew Ryan, well-intended extremist, or even a believing his own lies Comstock. There's no mastermind GLaDOS or Shodan to oppose you. The Yu family are straightforward, evil corporate overlords and mad scientists powering their dreams in the blood of the innocent while playing with monsters beyond their control, maniacally laughing in the background. Alex Yu does make some points about using Typhon to face galactic threats, but then proceeds to use neuromods to make a rock band. Since each mimic gives 0.3 exotic material, each person eaten makes 3 mimics. Each neuromod requires 3 exotic material. That little musical number required 10 deaths. As for the Typhon, they're practically space zombies. Like we've never seen that before. The lack of a relatable villain really hurt this game's story, and kept it from becoming an all-time classic. So it's no Bioshock or System Shock, but it's a solid game. It's well worth playing for the visuals and the first few tense hours of survival horror alone. Overall, it's good, but I wish I had taken some of the inventiveness of the First Prey and taken it to this level of polish. Then it would have been a great game. So that was Prey. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.